So friends, today here we are with a new chapter, that is consumer decision making process. So in consumer decision making process we have several steps, starting from need recognition, then information search, then evaluation of alternatives, purchase and post purchase behavior. So what is need recognition? It arises out of a result of imbalance between the present state and the preferred state. When a customer finds something missing in the present state and like to be in the preferred state, it gives a creation of need recognition. It's an internal stimuli or an external stimuli that creates the difference, and a customer always like to be from present status to the preferred state. A recognition of a need occurs when a consumer is faced with a problem. Among consumers, there seem to be two types of problems, such as actual state types, like when a consumer who perceive that they have a problem when a product fails to perform satisfactorily. Desire state types, like the desire for something new, may trigger the decision process. So for actual state types, it means that when a person has purchased something and the product is not performing satisfactorily, he may try to seek for other products. And desire state is like he is currently facing some problem and he wants some new product that can solve the problem. There are different types of stimulus that can give rise to the need recognition. These are like sight, smell, taste, touch and hearings. All these are better known as five senses. Want. So what is want? It's recognition of an unfulfilled need and a product or attribute or feature that will satisfy it. That means when you recognize that there is an unfulfilled need and a product or an attribute or feature can satisfy that becomes your want. So recognition of unfulfilled wants is like when a current product isn't performing properly and you are not satisfied with the product. When the consumer is running out of a product, like the product you are using has been damaged, or the consumption has already over, so you want a new product, or you want a new subscription, or you want, suppose you are using some cosmetics or hair oil, then you the bottle is finished and you want a new one. So when another product seems superior to the current one being used, sometimes it happens that you find a product which is more superior than the current one that you are using. So at that time also the unfulfilled wants generates. Pre-purchase information search. So next step after need recognition is information search. In information search, the most of the search is being conducted before the purchase. So here first it comes internal information search and then the external information search. Now from where we do the internal information search? We do it from our own memory. We recall, we try to remember regarding the purchase of similar items of the same product or maybe the same brand, etc. So it's recall information in memory. External information search is like we seek information in outside environment, like from commercial used in televisions or FM channels or print media, etc. So these are marketing controlled, because the marketers try to influence the customers, and the internal information search is not marketing controlled and is totally based on our own experience and learning. Sources of information: some are marketer dominated and some are non-market dominated stimuli. So what are market dominated stimuli? These are like advertising, salespeople, info commercial, websites, point of sale material. So all these are controlled by the marketer. They try to influence the psychology of the customers through this sort of market dominated source of information. Whereas non-market dominated stimuli are like when we seek information from friends or family or opinion leaders, etc. So these are non-market dominated stimuli. So factors that are likely to increase our pre-purchase search: sometimes when we seek for information, our information search is being is being stimulated, or it is being increased by several factors. These are number one, like product factors. Sometimes the product features are like that we need more research about the product. Sometimes the situational factors, experience, social acceptability, value related considerations. Sometimes we try to find out what will be the value if we purchase the product. We want to find out the cost benefit analysis, so we go for more search of information regarding the product. Again, consumer factors like demographic characteristics or personality. So whenever we find that if we consider a product like mobile phone, we find that a young teenager or maybe a young person will do more information search compared to an older person. Next step is evaluation of alternatives. So what is evaluation of alternatives? It tries to determine criteria to be used for evaluation of products. It tries to assess the relative importance of each criteria. Again, it tries to evaluate each alternatives based on identified criteria. Now in evaluation of alternatives, we have evoked set, and finally we go for the purchase. So in evaluation of products, we first try to analyze product attributes. We then try to use cutoff criteria for selecting the actual set of alternatives that we will be finally considering for the purchase, and then rank attributes by importance. So when evaluating potential alternatives, consumers tend to use two types of information: a list of brands, that is the evoked set, and the criteria they will use to evaluate each brand. The evoked set refers to the specific brands the consumer considers in making a purchase in a particular product category. Inept set considers the brand the consumer excludes from the purchase consideration as unacceptable, and the inert set is those brands to which the consumer is indifferent because they are perceived as having no advantage. So if you consider all brands, there are some known brands and there are unknown brands. In known brands, we have evoked set, inept set, and inert set. In evoked set, we have acceptable brands. Again, in inept set, we have unacceptable brands. In inert set, we have indifferent brands or overlooked brands. And finally, from acceptable brands, we either purchase that brand or we don't purchase that brand. Next comes consumer decision rules. These are referred to as heuristic decision strategies and information processing strategies, and are procedures used by consumers to facilitate brand choices. These rules reduce the burden of decision making. Number one is compensatory decision rules. A consumer tries to evaluate brand options in terms of each relevant attributes and computes a weighted or a stimulated score for each brand. Suppose you would like to purchase a mobile phone. Now you choose a particular brand and you try to calculate all the positive attributes present or relevant attributes present for your purchase, and you try to go on scoring and giving a weight for each accumulated features or each accumulated attributes. So the assumption is that the consumers will choose the brand with the highest score. A unique feature of a compensatory decision rule is that it allows a positive evaluation of a brand on one attribute to balance out a negative evaluation on some other attributes. So in simple way, we can consider that consumer decision rules are those rules which a consumer tries to apply while choosing a particular alternative. So in compensatory decision rules, what happens? A consumer generally takes all the positive points or the relevant points of a brand and tries to give a score and try to give some value, or you can say they try to give some so consumer decision rules, in simple way, it can be considered as those rules which are used by the consumers while choosing an alternative. Out of this, the first rule, that is the compensatory decision rules, in a simple way, again it can be considered as when a customer tries to choose a brand based only on the positive attributes or the relevancy of the particular brand or product. So what happens? A consumer chooses a particular brand and find out all the positive features or relevant features and gives a score or gives a weightage, and finally the most weighted one or the most highest scored brand will be chosen by the customer. Next is non-compensatory decision rules. Here it doesn't allow consumers to balance positive evaluation of a brand on one attribute against negative evaluation on some other attribute. So forms include conjunctive decision rule. The consumer establish a minimally acceptable level that is established as a cutoff point for each attribute. If any particular brand falls below the cutoff point on any one attribute, the brand is eliminated from consideration. Disjunctive rule. This rule mirrors the conjunctive rule. Here what happens, the consumer establishes a minimally acceptable level as a cutoff point for each attribute. In this case, if a brand alternative meets or exceeds the cutoff established for any one attribute, however, it is accepted. So in both conjunctive and disjunctive, we find that these are like mirror type of rules, where in both cases the minimally acceptable level are being established and then the brands are being examined. The difference is that in conjunctive decision rule all the features are being taken into consideration, but in disjunctive rule the most important are being considered. So this is the only difference between conjunctive and disjunctive. Both the rules are like mirror like rules, but one considers all the features, the other considers the most important features for a particular brand. Next comes lexicographic decision rule. Here the consumer first ranks the attribute in terms of perceived relevance or importance. For example, like if you like to purchase a mobile phone, now if your criteria of purchase of mobile phone is like taking photographs, then your camera megapixel may be the most important criteria, and then the battery backup or other RAM features etc will come one by one. So what you do is that you rank your feature of mobile phone as per importance, the most important criteria that you want in mobile phone, then the next criteria, then following criteria. So what you do is that you rank the attributes first and then you try to give the weightage or importance. Now whenever the consumer compares the various brands alternatives in terms of the single attribute that is the most important one, then if one brand scores the top, then you just reject the others and select that brand. So suppose in camera is your main primary criteria, so you choose a particular mobile phone instantly when you find that that mobile phone is best in camera features. So this is the rule known as lexicographic decision rule. So there are three rules in non-compensatory decision rules. These are conjunctive decision rule, then we find disjunctive rule, and then we find the lexicographic decision rule. So 9 out of 10 shoppers who go to the store for frequently purchased items have a specific shopping strategy for saving the money. Practical loyalists, what they do, they look for ways to save on those brands and products that they would buy anyway. Bottom line price shoppers, who are they? They try to buy the lowest priced item with little or no regard for any brand. Opportunistic switchers, they use coupons or sales to decide among brands and products that fall within their evoked set. Deal hunters, they always try to look for the best bargain and are not brand loyal. So these deal hunters always switch from one brand to the other brand only in search of deals. Whoever gives a good deal, they will try to purchase. Output. The output portion of consumer decision making model concerns two closely associated kind of post decision activity. These are purchase behavior and post purchase evaluation. The objective of both activities is to increase the consumer's satisfaction with his or her purchase. So next step in consumer decision making is purchase, whether to buy or not to buy. So in that case, what can a marketer do? The marketer can determine which attributes are most important in influencing a consumer's choice. So there are different types of purchases that are being made by consumers. One can be trial purchase, first time purchase, then another can be repeat purchase. He has already purchased, so he is going for repeat purchase, and another is long term commitment purchase. So consumers make these three types of purchases. So after the purchase is being made, then comes the post purchase behavior. What happens in a post purchase behavior? It explains the consumer's post purchase evaluation process. When a person buys a product, there rises a cognitive dissonance. What is cognitive dissonance? It is like a feeling of confusion or tension, like, did I make the good decision? Did I buy the right product, or did I get a good value? So what can a marketer do in that case? The marketer can minimize this confusion or dissonance by effective communication, effective advertisement or follow up, or by providing guarantees, warranties, etc., so that the consumers or the customers can trust on the company and feel that if any problem arises in future, they can claim the warranties or guarantees. By that way, they will think that yes, I have made a good decision. Even if I have made a wrong decision, I will be saved from the problem of dissonance or feeling bad, because there will be available warranties and guarantees. So as consumer use a product, they evaluate its performance in light of their own expectation. There are three possible outcomes of such evaluation. Like, actual performance matches the standard, lending to a neutral feeling. So when a customer purchases, he feels that yes, whatever he has expected, he has got it. So it's like a neutral feeling. Sometimes what happens, positive disconfirmation arises, like when a purchase after purchase the performance of the product or services is beyond the expectation, then positive disconfirmation. If it is less, then it comes negative disconfirmation. If it is same, it is neutral. An important aspect of the purchase process is reducing post-purchase cognitive dissonance, as I explained earlier. So when consumers try to reassure themselves, consider that whether they have made the correct decision or correct choice or not, so cognitive dissonance occurs. Cognitive dissonance is inner tension that a consumer experiences after recognizing an inconsistency between behavior and the values or opinions. So outcomes of post-purchase evaluation: actual performance matches expectation, or actual performance exceeds expectations, that is the positive disconfirmation, or performance is below expectation, that is the negative disconfirmations of expectations. So here we come to the end of this chapter. This is the consumer decision making process. Thank you.